What's up guys, Jonny May here and welcome to this week's quick tip where I'm going to teach you what I think is the most important scale if you want to improvise over chords like C minor. Now, have you ever hit a chord like C minor and thought, gosh, I'd love to improvise over this chord, but I'm not sure which scale to use? Well, in today's lesson, I'm not only going to teach you a scale that sounds amazing over this chord, but I'm going to teach you 3 essential improvisation techniques so that you can take this scale and create some amazing lines. Let's go ahead and dive in. All right, before I teach you the best scale to use over a minor chord, I want to first teach you a couple interesting ways of playing your minor chords so that you can have some fun improvising in your right hand. And basically, I created 3 different grooves, one for beginner players, one for intermediate, and one for advanced players. So let's say you're a little more on the beginner side and you want to improvise over your minor chords. Well, you can just play a simple C minor like this, okay? And I'm just doing a little groove, kind of a swing groove. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. That's the beginner groove. We also have an intermediate groove. Let's say you're a little more on the intermediate side and you have some playing experience. This is a really nice way to play this groove, okay? Basically what I'm doing is I'm grabbing a low C, I'm coming up to a C minor 7 chord. So it's a little more interesting way of playing a minor chord. Normally a C minor is like that, but if you want it to sound a little more jazzy, you can add a B flat to this chord to give it a little more color. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. All right, if you want to play it in an even cooler way, you can play what's called a rootless voicing. This is a really cool way of playing a C minor chord and making it sound nice and jazzy. So basically I'm hitting a low C and I'm going up to E flat, G, B flat, and D. This is called a rootless voicing. There's no root in the chord, but it's like a jazzy way of playing a C minor. And if you don't know your rootless voicings, you can learn all of them over at pianowithjonny.com, so I'll put a link to that below. But I do want to move on and I want to talk about the most important scale if you want to improvise on your minor chords, and that is called your C Dorian scale. So we're going to quickly review the scale and then I'm going to show you some amazing techniques that you can use to improvise with this scale. So what's the C Dorian scale? Well, it sounds like this. It has this kind of mysterious sound to it and it's really fun to play. So basically what I'm doing in my right hand, I'm playing C, D, E flat. I'm going to cross under F, G, A, B flat, and C. Okay, so it's like a C major scale, except we're lowering our 3rd and we're lowering the 7th. All right, that's called your C Dorian scale. And it actually is the same scale as a B flat major scale, which is down a whole step. So the trick to knowing your Dorian scale, if you start on a C, is play the major scale down 1 whole step, okay? But that's the Dorian scale, and I would just practice it up and down the piano just like this. Now, once you've practiced the scale, I want to show you some amazing improv techniques that you can use with this scale. And the first technique is an 8th note technique. And if you're improvising with these chords, I'm basically playing almost entirely 8th notes. So this is the most important note value that you should know if you want to improvise over these chords. So we're going to go over a quick 8th note exercise and then I'm going to show you how to create lines using 8th notes. So here's the 8th note exercise for you to practice. We're going to go up the scale and down the scale. Okay, very, very simple. And what I'm doing is I'm popping the chord on the and of beat 2. 1 and 2 and. You want to line that up. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So when I come down, 1 and 2 and, we're going to line it up there. Now you can pick a different left hand if you want to go for that intermediate left hand. It's the same rhythm. Or you can go for that advanced left hand. play that beautiful rootless voicing. But you're gonna wanna practice this eighth note exercise. And once you've practiced the eighth note exercise, let's go ahead and create an eighth note line using this scale and these chords. So this is just an example of a line. I do have this notated in the lesson sheet music. Isn't that cool? Okay, and basically what I did is I'm just playing up the scale. I come up to the B flat, and then I go B flat, C, I walk it down, and then I end my line like that, okay? So the key with lines like this is you want to have a start and an end point, and you want to have little gaps in between each line. It's like a little musical phrase or a sentence. You want to put a little period at the end of each sentence. So that's just one example line. Here's another example line. Check it out. See what I'm doing? Okay, I'm playing primarily eighth notes, and I'm only using notes from this C Dorian scale. And again, you can use the other left-hand patterns if you want to make it sound a little bit more interesting. All right, let's play this with one of the backing tracks. This lesson comes with 3 different backing tracks at different tempos. So I'm going to do the medium tempo, and here's how it sounds. Okay, notice I'm leaving little gaps in between my lines. Play a little line coming up. Playing this little rootless voicing here. Okay, doesn't that sound amazing? And again, I'm only using one scale to create these lines. By the way, the backing tracks and the sheet music you're seeing on the top left of the screen are both downloadable at pianowithjonny.com. You can also check out our smart sheet music. This allows you to change the key of this entire lesson with the click of one button. So I'll put a link to all of that below. I do want to move you on to technique number 2. This is called your enclosure technique, and I love to use enclosures whenever I'm improvising over a minor chord. So an enclosure is basically when I surround one of the notes from my C minor 7 chord. Remember I said you can use a C minor 7 instead of a regular C minor? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enclose each chord tone. So we've got the C. You can enclose it by going to the lower note, the upper note, and then to C, okay? And you can do it for the E flat. Lower note, upper note to E flat. Then we're gonna enclose the 5th of the chord, lower note, upper note, G. And then we're gonna enclose the 7th of the chord, lower note, upper note to B flat. Does that make sense? So these are called lower enclosures. And you can create some really cool lines with this idea. You hear those ideas? They sound really, really cool. Now you can also enclose from the top, meaning if I want to enclose my C, I can go D, B flat, C. If I want to enclose E flat, I can go F, D, E flat, A, F, G, and then C, A, B flat. Okay, I'm enclosing all of the notes from my C minor 7 chord. So here's a little exercise that you can practice if you want to work on your enclosures. It goes like this. Okay, you see what's happening? Having some fun here in the left hand, but I'm basically doing upper enclosures to each chord tone. And now I'm going to go down, I'm going to use lower enclosures. So starting from the C, I'm going to enclose the B flat, now the G, now the E flat, and now the C. Does that make sense? So this will help you a lot with your enclosures, and once again, you can practice along with these backing tracks if you want to master this. Now, how do you actually use enclosures in your lines? Here's an example line of how you can use your enclosures. Doesn't that sound amazing? And so what I did is I started on my low C, I enclosed my E flat, okay? Now I'm going to enclose my G, that's a lower enclosure. I'm going to enclose my B flat with a lower enclosure, and then I'm going to come up C, D, F, E flat. That's a lower enclosure to E flat, and then I'm going to come down like that. And that's called a turn. See what I did? Kind of like a roll down from E flat down to G. Okay, let's create some lines using enclosures. I'm going to play again with the backing track. Let's do this one a little faster. This is going to be 150 BPM. Sound amazing, and again, I'm primarily using enclosures to create these lines. Now, before we move on, if you guys are enjoying this lesson, I want to recommend a couple courses that will help you a ton with your soloing. The first course is called Scales for Improv on Major and Minor Chords and Scales for Improv on 7th Chords, where I teach you all of the scales that you need to know to solo over just about any chord you'll see. And if you want to solo more in a jazz style, check out our soloing over a 2-5-1. I'll put a link to both of those below. But I do want to move along and show you the final technique. This is called outlining 7th chords, and this has a super cool sound. Doesn't that sound amazing? And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking each note of the scale, the C Dorian scale that I taught you, and I'm playing 7th chords on each note, okay? So if I build a 7th chord on the first note of the scale, I have what's called a C minor 7 chord. And all I'm doing is I'm skipping every other note from the scale to build this chord, okay? Then you do this on the second note of the scale, the D, and we have this chord called a D minor 7. And basically you do this for every single note of the scale. This is called the 3 chord on your Dorian scale, or the 3rd mode of the scale, okay? This is called the 4 chord of your D Dorian scale, or the 4th mode of the scale. It's an F7 chord, okay? This is called your 5 chord. It's a G minor 7. And again, we're doing this for each note of the scale, okay? So you want to be able to play these all the way up the piano, and once you can do this, here's a really great exercise to practice outlining the 7th chords. And basically what I'm going to do is play 8th notes up each position. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you're going to do this all the way up the piano till you get to the high position, okay? Now once you got to the high position, you're going to take it down. Okay, and again, you want to pop that chord on the end of beat 2. 1 and 2 and. Does that make sense? And then 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Make sure you're hitting those together. Now you can improvise some sweet sounding lines with this technique. Here's just an example line that I created for you. Check it out. Doesn't that sound amazing? And all I'm doing is I'm coming down different 7th chord positions. So there's my D minor, and then I play a little filler line. Right, B flat, G, A, B flat, and then I come down this 7th position, and then this 7th position, this 7th position. Does that make sense? So I'm coming down different 7th chords, and I'm doing some little filler lines. Here's the filler, and then another 7th chord, another filler line to the C. All right, let's play some 7th chord lines with one of the tracks. For this one, we're going to play it at 150 BPM. Notice how I leave little gaps. Hey, thanks for watching this week's quick tip, and if you enjoyed this lesson, I want to encourage you to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have over 800 step-by-step lessons in jazz, blues, theory, technique, improvisation. It's the full learning platform for all playing levels. Also, be sure to check out the Piano with Jonny membership. This gives you unlimited access to all of our courses, plus you get to be part of our live monthly events, including our live Q&As, our live workshop lessons, and we have a ton of fun. So go check out Piano with Jonny, and I'll see you in the next one.